everyone, welcome to Business for Builders. Welcome to you if you're cruising down the road, listening to this on a podcast, or maybe sitting there having a bite to eat, or maybe just chilling out on a Sunday afternoon. Welcome to those who are watching this on YouTube. We appreciate your attention. Our goal is to deliver as much value as we can and, deliver relevant information that can really assist you in, developing or starting a building company, developing a building company, growing a building company. It's all I do on a daily basis. I've got 6 operators. I was actually on the phone to one of my Edmonton guys today for 2 hours, just going through a proposal that he was going to present later this week. So it's where, I'm up to my eyeballs in construction. Selling franchises is not what I was trained to do. I was trained as a carpenter and end up running my own building company, end up being a franchisee with Smith & Sons. But, I find myself today as a 48-year-old dude that's feels seriously old to some of these young fellas. Now it's, a time for me to be able to really help and mentor. And this is what I got thinking about this morning is, along those lines, I moved from, being a young buck, as an apprentice, and then, was married in my early 20s and, wanting to sort of provide for my family and getting a builder's license in my late 20s, becoming a franchised operator as a general contractor or builder with Smith & Sons. And then, of course, 6 years ago, we moved to Canada. So, and of course, we jumped straight back in the building game, as soon as we could when we got here. And so, for me in my position personally, I've always had a lot of people that, I've looked up to. There's a lot of people that, I've come across in my time that I really didn't have respect for. And so I had a fairly open buffet as to people that I respected, people that I really admired and some of the accomplishments that they had made. And then there was other people I thought, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that guy or that gal. And so, the motivation I think this morning or today was, my question to you is, are you making a mark or are you leaving a stain? And if you've listened to a few of my podcasts in the past, you would have heard me mention the legacy. It's to me, it's more important to have legacy over currency. Now, we still want to run and operate a profitable business. I love being a capitalist. We're in it to win it. I've talked about business being an infinite game. That means if we don't kick all the goals this year, that's okay. If we're way behind this year, that's okay, because business is an infinite game. And your best competition is going to be those that have that same sort of attitude toward the game of business. And so, really with, what you're doing in your building company is not just trying to make money. I know you're in a situation. What I guess the motivation is, what I want you to have is a dual vision. I want you to have eyeballs on how do I create the most ROI. I want the largest dividend that I can out of my business. But I really think, and this is really just one guy's POV. This is my 2 cents worth. This is the way I run my company. Even though I run a corporate office now, it still is very heavily influenced from my building days. And of course, we interact with builders all the time. And whether I was running a corporate office, which, as a franchisor, or whether I was running a building company, I would still hang my hat on dealing with human resource and in the same way. And my objective is to I guess, influence as positively I can as many people as I can. I know some fairly wealthy individuals, and, life, I heard Will Smith say once, no, it was not Will Smith, it was Jim Carrey. He said, if people could just experience what it's like to have more money than you can poke a stick at or spend, your whole view of life would instantly change. And, honestly, a funny story. For the longest time, I think one of the first trucks I bought when I moved to this country was like a 2002 F-150. And I love motorsport. I love driving fast, all those kinds of things. But, I never felt motivated out of, some corporate position that I might hold to justify, buying a new vehicle. And I, for the longest time, and literally in the last 2 months, my business partner says, hey, bud, it's really embarrassing that you're driving a 20-year-old truck. We need you to sort of, step it up. And so we did that. But honestly, for me personally, I'm whether I jumped in my old truck, my old girl, or I jump in this new one, it's just, to me, it's just another truck. This one goes a lot faster, so there's a really good chance I'm going to get tickets pretty quick. But, what I'm saying is that I get more joy. Here's the deal. I get more joy out of sitting with one of my newest franchised operators who's in another province, who's in Edmonton, and sitting down with him for 2 hours and going through a proposal that he's getting prepared, ready to present to a client this week, than I do pouncing around in a new truck. Because all I do is get into trouble when I go and drive, and I piss people off, and I got decals all over my vehicle and stuff. So it just to me it's almost a negative. But I think what I'm saying is that we've got to try and, like Jim Carrey said, if you could just experience what it is to feel that feeling of having no more monetary concerns, you would go, okay, now what does my life stand for? So as builders, I think we've got to balance up and have that dual focus between having the capabilities to be able to win. And I think if I can pull this one out of my hat, Gary Vaynerchuk says you can be a really good human being and you can be an assassin. And I love that, because I've got this really genuine desire to make all the people that are in my sphere and around me as happy as I can make them. But you can bet your bottom dollar too, we're going to be the biggest brand in North America for renovations. Like, I am not here, and I'm not going to drop that language, but we're not here to make love to spiders. I can tell you that right now. We are here to win. And so, I would encourage you that you don't have to be Mother Teresa and give it all up and be a pushover and all that sort of horse shit, because I am not. But the flip side is you want to be able to be the assassin and a good human being all at the same time. And, we're all different. We come from all different backgrounds and we're all different shapes and sizes. So there is no perfect science. I think you've just got to be self-aware and, look at how your attitude is towards some of the team that you've got around you. And are they, I'm going to probably talk about, this maybe in another podcast, but there's different levels of leadership, and maybe we can just cover it off now. You might have a position as a leader, but if your folks aren't really committed and they haven't thrown their heart over the bar as it relates to your business, and they're not feeling like they're accepted, I'm telling you, they're just there to pick up a paycheck. And really, when we know that off the back of the cultural development and the recruitment, those two things actually help us build our business. And, not everyone, there's a lot of people that are very happy to be, second in command or third, or they're happy to be just a contributor on your team. But you have to recognize that don't try and put a person who just wants to be a contributor in a second in command position. You'll destroy them. And be careful that you haven't got some person who's in third, who's just in a worker position, who's absolutely wanting to be at a higher level of leadership in your team. And quite possibly, they might want to go and start their own business. And I've had that. I had one of my guys who was a marketing strategist working for us. He come down and we were sitting in our weekly meetings. He said, I just want to kick off and let you know that I've got a really good offer. They doubled their income and, give me an equity share, and I can't compete with that. But I always knew that Sam had a real flair for business, and I knew that he wasn't going to sit tight for too long. Now, even though that was a sad day for me, he is still working for me in a contract arrangement, and the guy loves the brand so much that as soon as he can find a builder, he wants to buy a franchise. See, that's legacy. I didn't set out to make a difference in that regard. I brought him on. I said, this is what I need you to do. He did it. But in the process, obviously, he was really enjoying doing business in the capacity that he was, to the point where now, even though he's gone out on his own, let's say, he still wants to stay in touch with the business. That's legacy. That's the kind of, I didn't think that would actually work. When someone leaves your walls, you're like, well, that's it, end of the relationship. But, I love seeing the fact that he will not unplug. He just wants to stay connected to the brand. And so he's on video con calls and now he's running his own business. So I'm hitting him up on text message saying, dude, if you need to chat, if you need any advice, if you want to have a catch up for a beer, and I think that's the ecosystem or the community that we're in as business owners. And of course, the family that is that what does Simon Sinek say? It's not being in charge of people. It's actually taking good care of people that, you're responsible for. And, I really think that is the mandate of an authentic leader. So, and that's where you move from just a positional leader into being more of a leader with influence. And, I think when we're running a building company, there's all kinds of slurs. And I've heard guys say, oh, there's no more good guys and all the good guys are doing it on their own. And it's just, I refuse to believe that if you just need a few good men or women in your business, I refuse to believe that there's not someone out there that is ready to come onto your team. Currently, I'm trying to hire a bookkeeper and an admin, and even I start to think that maybe the right person is not out there. But I would just, things work out for a reason. If at first you don't succeed, try again. And, it's funny because a lot of stuff that happens that I think is a negative in my life or a missed opportunity or whatever, in hindsight, I'm sort of glad that door closed. Because if that door had have opened, I wouldn't have actually got to the real reward that, come along, and I didn't even know it was going to come along. And so, I think we've got to take more of a humane or an approach to treating others like the way we want to be treated. And certainly then the caveat to that is we're not idiots. And I would urge that you trust your intuition and ensure that, when you're in an operation and something doesn't sit right, then you've got to make the call. And we talk about that on a whole bunch of fronts, whether I'm dealing with clients, whether I'm dealing with franchises, whether I'm dealing with employees, whether I'm dealing with my wife or my kids. You've still got to have the tough conversations. Leaders lead. You still have to, be an integrous person. And that means sometimes you've got to give out some bad news. And I think Gary Vee calls it honest candor. I mean, you've just got to say, look, if things aren't working out with an employer, you've just got to say, look, you're really strong here, but I need you to be strong here. And I just don't think you got the chops. I've got to let you go. You can't get into business. It's like jumping in the octagon. If you're familiar with, cage fighting, you can't jump in the octagon and think you're going to come out with a belt and no, bloody lip or, black eye. It's just impossible. You're a dreamer. Unless you can knock the guy out in the first 30 seconds, then you may have a chance of coming out, everything's still in order. But, the fact that we're in an infinite game means that, more often than not, we start out not really having the knowledge and the understanding that we need to drive the business forward. And so, it all comes back to, and I think I might have said this in one other podcast, that your ability to recruit good talent and your ability to maintain a good, positive, healthy culture, they're the two foundation stones of building a business. And I think when you do that, because this is what I did when I started the business, I made a decision that it was going to be people over profit, but I wasn't going to get taken for a ride. And, not really remembering that on a daily basis, but just still having that gut level kind of appreciation for people and the fact that they've come down and they're spending their 8 hours a day inside these four walls and helping me grow this business. That's really something that, something that you've got to develop because it's important, the appreciation for people, even though you're cutting them a paycheck. If it's just a straight transaction for time and money and there's no humanity involved in that, you will lose. You'll lose that good person to me. I will come get them. I will poach them. And that's because I don't care. Business is, you got to be able to, it's dog eat dog. Let's just say that. But, I think it's important that we reward our people. And the same thing that goes, for you as a builder, something I use often and I chat about whether I'm talking face-to-face or, to prospective franchisees is that builders don't get the reward, the recognition or the respect that they feel they deserve. I want you to know that your employees, funny enough, are humans and they kind of need reward, respect and recognition as well. When you come and work for me, no matter what capacity you're in, whether you're a creative director, whether you're going to work in accounts, whether you're a micro content producer, we want to give you a cut of the pie because everything that we're doing as a team here is all pushing into one direction. So why shouldn't they get some of the financial love as well? So are you making a mark or are you leaving a stain? Is it legacy over currency or is it currency over legacy? You need to think about that because I'm pretty sure that if you pick the right couple of alternatives, you'll reap the benefits. So like, share, and comment. If you know anyone who would benefit from this info, please share it with them. We're all ears. If you want to contact me, you can do that directly, max@businessforbuilders.ca. And we look forward to just continuing on with our mission, that is to make a massive difference in the building and construction industry. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. Cheers.